It's doing something and it's good, try it out. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, that's fine. You just put it off. So there's this thing called Tribal Wars that was instituted by Hillsong, and we just changed it up a bit. We called it Tribe Life instead, and it was just amazing because it's literally 8 weeks of pure competition. Some of you may be like, Larry, but that's not what church is supposed to be about. You have to give them the word. Well, that's the thing. That's the catch. All right? You bring them in, and once they're in, you share the gospel with them. You know, and we've been able to see, for the glory of God, we've been able to see throughout these past 8 weeks, over 20 people give their lives to Jesus. And at least over 15, aside from that, just recommit their lives to Christ. So, honestly, that was just the tool that we use to get people in, because there's a lot of people that won't step through the doors of a quote-unquote church. But you tell them, hey, we're going to a party, or hey, we're going to have an amazing time, we're going to do color wars, for example, you know? And that's what's going to drive people to come here. And once you have them here, you just share the gospel with them.
Yeah, it's kind of, that was really good. It's kind of like a motivation. And I just want one more announcement for you guys. If you guys have any questions, I want you guys to know we are listening to you as well. So if you want to send in your questions, you can DM us, you can message us through Instagram. There's going to be a little, there we go, that message. So you guys can check that out whenever you guys want. I'll be checking the Instagram feed. So just send a message through there. But talking about events and talking about motivating youth, right? How do you get somebody connected? How do you get somebody engaged that wasn't really engaged? Sally, Carla, what do you guys think?
I guess I'll go first.
Go ahead.
What works for me is having more of like a personal relationship first with them. Is meeting them where they're at. You know, so it's being able to, someone came to mind right now in our church, to go above and beyond, as Carla was saying, and if you're not seeing them come to church or you're not seeing them as engaged, is being able to just, going up to them, being able to talk to them, being able to see, what is going on with them a little bit, and in their language and their tone and everything that you can do to just kind of meet them where they're at, and then follow up with them. I love texting people throughout the day. I do a random phone call just so that people can actually feel that you care. I think once people know that you care, they'll get engaged.
Yes.
One of the things I tell my kids is you don't need a title to be a leader. And I always tell them that. It's remember, it's not just because Carla is the leader, it's not about me. It's about how we treat each other. Yes. And I always encourage them to tell each other, I miss you. Yeah. Grab somebody's number, get their number. If you don't see them, call them. If you only see them on Sundays, call them. Be like, how are you doing throughout the week? We have a group meet, and it's the best thing that we have, because we share things. Sometimes people are like, how are you? I miss you. What's going on? Hope everybody's having a good week. And it's perhaps you can go one by one, But when you do it amongst the group, and everybody's like, thank you, I love you. And sometimes we prank on each other. We prank on each other hard, But it's just getting out there. You don't need a title to be a leader. It's amongst yourselves. Teach your kids. You can encourage one another. Don't wait for your leader to encourage your friend. Don't wait for your friend to be like, oh, Carla, come pray for him. He's going through something. It's no, I'm here. I can pray for you. So.
And I think, Carla, something you said about you guys prank each other, you guys roast each other. I think that's part of the community just getting closer. I mean, I think it's amazing. And
it's so bad. Sometimes it's so bad.
I think Larry wants to tell a story about a prank that he did.
No, I really don't.
I'll tell one of my friends.
I don't know if I can, but I'm not kidding.
In camp, my girls and my kids decided to put my luggage by the little lake. And when I go back inside the room, I have no idea where these girls got tape. But all my underwear was on the roof. How does it get to the roof? So now
that was amazing. Thank you for that.
How?
Standing ovation.
And not only this, so I thought it was all over. And, I'm here okay, I'll get you guys back. I come to bed at night, lotion and powder on my pillow. So, so this is sometimes they see us oh, we have to you have to be able to relate to them, It's not all you can't do that and no, you're not. No, it's about coming together and just, it's okay. It's okay to have fun. Usually in our, like, no offense to anyone, but usually our churches are like, this is not right, you know, you're in camp and you're doing this and you have to be spiritual, and it's like, it's okay, there's a balance, there is a balance. The Bible says there is a time for everything. There's a time to dance, there's a time to cry, there's a time to laugh, there is
That's
a
a standing
balance.
ovation right there. Wow. I live by this motto, and maybe not I guess, correct, yeah, that too, but depends, but I say, unless somebody tells me, please stop calling me or texting me, I'm gonna bother the heck out of them until they, like, if I don't see them in church, you better believe every single Friday if I don't see somebody, I'm gonna text them, hey, it's not gonna be like, hey, where were you? No, it's like, hey, I miss you today, you know, I want you to know that I'm here, whatever's going on, you know, and stuff like that. Until somebody tells me, can you please stop texting me? I'll be like, okay, but until then, I'm gonna bother them, you know, so. Okay, yeah, it's happened. It's happened.
I love that Carla said that she, her and her youth prank people at camp. For me and Sally, we went to camp, I think it's been 4 years ago, right about. And when we first got there, we were like, oh, it's just going to be a camp, you know, a church, you know, okay. And then when we got there, we saw all these kids, like, youth just like having fun, and I think that was one of the biggest things when you start seeing youth pranking. I mean, no angels here, we might get in trouble, but you're not supposed to do that. But you know, people still do it, having pillow fights at night. We hear these crazy stories, and it's really one of the best places. And Sally, I love that you can talk about it. One of the best times that we really connected with our youth. It was really at camp.
Yeah, if you guys have not gone to camp, you missed it out, and I think you're doing your youth a disservice, to be honest. I think one of the biggest impacts that, besides, of course, the services, the setup, the itinerary, it's the time that you spend in the room. It's the time that you get to connect, not only with your youth, but with youth in other churches. I got to really connect with the Fuente del Cielo girls because of youth camp. Right? You know, I got to connect with Marilyn's church, Maranatha, that's also here, because of youth camp. Besides everything that I received from the worship and the services, it was the time that you have together in the room. This is an investment that you're making in God's kingdom, but it's an investment that you're making in your youth.
But not only like when you connect like in the room, but it's also, it leads to the spiritual. Because when they're inside service, it's like, this is my friend, and she's there praying. I'm going to go pray with her. Yeah. So that moment that you share with them in the room, it comes, it follows you to where you want to lead them. It's like, Larry, I forgot your name for 2 seconds.
Wow.
It's like Larry said, he does different methods, but the message remains the same. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, it's not because Angel's here, because even if Angel wasn't here, I think we all have these stories and we say that.
It's
and
because Angel's here.
it's totally because Angel's here, that's true. Political. But my youth, the ones that went to camp, I mean, I couldn't, perfect. So now we can stop talking about camp. So those that went, I think you guys can vouch. I mean, I saw a unity within my youth after camp like I've never experienced before. And it's just something about being together in a room for 5 days, seeing each other when you first wake up with no makeup, all right, your hair all messed up, your breath stank, all right? Like, it's something about that just you get together with the person. So if you haven't gone to camp, please send your youth to camp. And young adults come in. Now it's political. Young adults come in.
Or waking up to sunflowers.
That'll make the day, right? Guys, Abby's gonna be here all week. But I love that you said that not only the fact that you went in the room part, but just going to church and seeing your friends. Like in the beginning year, we're gonna be honest, right? Because this is an honest group. In the beginning year, we had this thing, me and Sally and my other sisters and our group. We like to sleep, we like to take naps, because camp can be tiring, you know? Guys,
when they say they like to sleep, I have
It's
never
an
seen
understatement.
anything like it.
So, and it was just, I'm telling our secrets, but it's okay. We loved doing that. It was just one of those ways that we just like, but then we started to notice how much we were missing out on when we really started to partake in all the activities, the sports, the singing, everything. We started to cheer on like our own district. It was like bringing this culture of like Miami United, and everybody's just like chanting Miami, Miami, because Orlando's not important.
Zone 1, okay? We're zone 1.
Right?
West Mom?
Right, that's West Palm too, right? Mom is here. What?
Right? Awesome. But it was just so important. Well, the other thing that I wanted to ask you guys, this is the last question, just to wrap up. And this is probably, you've seen this in your youth. You've probably seen this in other things that you've attended. What's probably one of the best advice? Larry spoke about it earlier. But what is one of the best advice that you've gotten from somebody else, maybe a parent, another pastor, that has helped you with your youth?
Man, I received so much. So I'm going to go with the first three that's coming up right now. This I actually learned from my pastors, my pastor in Georgia, and they taught me, don't always think about making everything better and better and better. Sometimes all you have to do is just make it different. That's it. It's so much of a struggle to try to like, oh my God, how am I going to make this better? How am I going to make this better? Just think about how can you make it different. The other one is plan. You know, have organization. You know, when I, especially because I was doing this on every Friday basis, I had everything planned out 2 months in advance. Yes. You know, not just like the week of figuring out what I'm going to be doing.
Preach that.
that Friday. It's like we had a series, we had topics, and one of the things that I did is I actually gave a survey out to all my youth, and with all these different topics. So whatever was most popular, I started with that. And then I was able to create something almost for like 6 months. And then I took, this I learned from the life of Jesus, I took someone always under my wing. You know, Jesus came and he invested in 12 for 3 years and then he left. You know? So we're supposed to be doing the same thing. You have to replace yourself. You have to remember that what you're doing is just for a short period of time. You're supposed to be taking someone under your wing. So when I would teach a class, I would have Kayla, you know, teach something with me. I would have Ralph teach something with me. We always partnered up, and so that way I'm not the only person, you know, being able to give the topic of the day or the word of the day.
How about you, Carla? And I want to go to Larry too. But Carla has a lot of events, and she juggles all of these events, visits to churches, visits to West Palm and back. How do you organize all of that?
She has a helicopter.
What?
A helicopter.
I just think it's an honor to be able to serve our community, serve our churches, be part of something so great. Honestly, it's a great opportunity that God His mercy was put upon me, and I'm grateful for that. It's hard, it's difficult, you know. It's not easy, but you have to remember why we're doing it for. We're not doing it for our glory, we're doing it for the kingdom's glory. And our mentality is always to build the kingdom. It's not just about building my church or their church. It's about like, if another church is struggling, let's help each other. Yeah. If another church is going through something, be there. Help them out. One of the things Larry was saying, I think Larry just said, what was it that you just said? I just lost it.
Take
Talk
notes.
about
Take
the
notes.
kids. I just lost it. But it is an honor to work with so many different people. And time management is hard. God's like I don't even know how to do it. You know, Tommy calls me the juggler, and it's like, but it's you try to be everywhere, you know, but you have to focus on what's important. And as a leader, you have to focus on being there for your kids, for their necessities, and putting everything aside. Sometimes, and being in ministry, like sometimes we put like secular stuff aside. Like I put my studies aside. I did like per semester, I did like one class here, one class there. I put it aside to focus mainly on ministry. And I saw it how God recompensed that, because you know, I'm here. He rewarded that. It's a word. Look it up in the dictionary.
He's the grammar king.
When I saw he rewarded that, because despite me not finished yet my studies, I still have my career going.
Yeah.
the job where I got an internship and I grew there. And they allow me to grow. They know, like, I'm finishing up, and they're like, you're good. Look at everything you're doing. They took me under the wing. But that's God. It's not us. It's not what I do. It's God. It's God's grace.
I love that. How about for you, Larry? What have you seen? Things that worked, things that didn't really work, some of the sacrifices that you felt like you had to make?
Yeah, there's two things I want to point out. The first thing is when you're leaders, when you're preparing, like planning for the next 2 months, for the next 3 months or whatnot, something I was told, and it has been like the key, all right, is every now and then, it doesn't have to be in every single meeting, but every now and then, bring on one of your youth, all right, to see what's working from their insight, because we see it from your own team, which, by the way, shout out to my team, those that are here. I wouldn't do this without them. They're amazing. But bring on one of your youth and ask them, hey, what do you think about this? What is this? What's working here? What's not working here? And that's not just for youth pastors. As a senior pastor, bring on one of your members the day of tomorrow and see what's working, see what's not working, because they're the ones receiving everything. So they're the ones that can tell you, okay, this didn't work, or maybe you could change this a bit. And then the second thing that I wanted to say was, as leaders, many times, at least it happened to me, many times you focus so much on your youth that you forget about your leadership. And they too have to be fed. You know, not just spiritually, spiritually, but also community. Like, if you expect community and relationship with your youth, it has to start with your team.
Yes.
You know, so something that I've implemented with my team, we haven't done in the last 8 weeks because of tribe life and stuff, and it's been crazy. But, like, every 2 weeks we'll get together in my house, we'll play Uno, we'll eat some ice cream or something, just to build some community together. So that's something that I would recommend as well.
Real quick, and I would love to just end on this topic because I think it's something that us as leaders, especially when we're serving in that leadership role as either, you know, the youth leader of our church and so on, we have to do these events where we sometimes have to preach. And something, for me personally, it's sometimes difficult to just find a topic. How do you guys find the topic, what to speak about? How do you know how to organize that part?
For me, it's a lot of prayer. And also, one of the things I love to do is I think about my audience, you know, and this is why it's so important that you get to know your youth. Because once you get to know your youth, like really get to know your youth, you'll be able to know, okay, I think that this is what is needed. You know, it's what you're doing is you're being used by God to feed them. So what are they hungry for? You know, so you want to get to know people. Another thing I wanted to add into the last question is organization is key as leaders in the church, outside of the church. You need to get things organized. I use my reminders apps all the time. You got to plan things out. If you want your youth to attend what you've worked so hard for, or what you and your team has worked so hard for, or you want other churches to participate, you got to do it with time. You know, if you guys were following our Miami District page, I'm sorry if you saw that video like 50 times. You know, but there's a reason for it. There's a reason for it. You may have seen it 50 times and somebody just saw it once.
Yes.
You know, so you got to make sure that you're, you know, if you want the support, you know, of other churches. You know, one of the things I love about Larry, he was telling us about his worship night in September, and it was like in January. But everybody saved the date, and he had a great support because of that.
Yeah, at least what I like to use when it comes to what I'm going to speak about, this is aside from series, because the series you have to plan months ahead. But when it comes to like preaching of like a message on a Friday and stuff, at least something that I like to use is like what's going on today. You know, like what's relevant today. Like, for example, how can I preach to my kids and tell them that it's all going to be okay after 17 kids were just killed in Stoneman Douglas? You know, like. So I like to look at what's going on around the world today. I mean, that's one of the things that I use. What's going on around, of course, prayer and stuff like that. But what's one of the things that are going on in this world, and how could I just be an encouragement to them?
And Carla, how about you? How do you organize what to speak on? When you even go and visit other churches, so that's another thing. So you might know your youth. What if you're invited somewhere else? Like, how do you know what to speak on there?
It's your relationship with God. You know, it's your relationship when you're one-on-one, because it's easy to be a leader in front of many people, and sometimes we have to be leaders in front of faces. But what about when we're home one-on-one, with God? And our relationship with God is what keeps us going to that decision, keeps us going to stand. I've been to a service just to visit, and the pastor's like, Key West, I can never forget. Never forget. Pastor's like, the band is here. You guys are going to do great. I'm going to sit today and you're going to preach.
On the spot.
On the spot. And I was like, this is awesome. I remember me, Paul, and Sally going, you, paper, rock, scissors, Paul won. Paul,
Sorry.
Yeah. So we're like, Paul won. But you always have to be prepared. One, not only with a message that you in the intimacy of your room, or anywhere. Sometimes you're there for those who are at music, and all of a sudden you're eating donuts, and all of a sudden a word comes to you. You're like, I'm gonna use this for the song. Or like you're reading a book and you're like, I got this message. And you start writing notes. And based on that, you read your notes and you go to a service and the ambience, the atmosphere, your spiritual life is the one that tells you. You're like, this is what it feels like. This is what God is asking me to speak about. And sometimes you just have to go blindly. It's not by sight, it's by faith. And we're like, we're here. God chose me. This is the moment I'm here for it. God speak to me. Use me.
I love that. My pastor was one of the people that told me that you should always have a pocket preaching ready. Like always, because you just never know. And then he would just share some examples. How about you, Sally? Any input on that specifically and how you get ready on the spot?
I think I'm going to agree with everything that Carla said. And we went through some heavy training with our pastor. So if you ever wanted to do that as a game, one of the things our pastor did with us to just prepare us is he would put little pieces of paper. He enjoyed this. He would put little pieces of paper with words: love, righteousness, faith. And then he would put another piece of paper, an audience: funeral, homeless, youth camp, and then we had to draw from a bag, and we had 5 minutes to preach on that topic to that audience. But it allows you to be able to, the thing is, and one of the things I learned from him as well, is it's reading the scriptures and really meditating and learning. It's like a computer. You have to continue to always load it, so that when the time comes, and it could be on a stage, or it could be in a parking lot to one person, it doesn't matter, but you want to be ready to be able to speak.
You guys have any other thoughts that you wanted to add?
Before I add that, does anybody have a question? Really quick. Going once, going twice. So that's totally fine. Sally, I have a question for you. First of all, can we give it up for Sally? I mean, she's been doing an amazing job. Cells, I call her Cells. Cells, I mean, aside from being the Miami district leader, you have a life. You're a professional in what you do and stuff. How have you been able to, I guess, just balance everything out? How to juggle all the different hats that you have in your life. How have you been able to do that?
So I'm going to say my piece, and then you guys need to stay tuned after lunch, because I learned a lot of good tips from one of the pastors in this room called Abdiel Olivero, and he's going to be talking about that, so I don't want to take it. But I read this book I'll never forget. It's called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And it's by Stephen Covey, so if you guys want to write that one down, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he talks about time management. And he puts it into different quadrants: the urgent, the important, the not important, urgent, etc. I encourage you guys to check that out when you get a chance. But when you are, mind you, I don't have kids or anything like that, but I do wear a lot of hats. I focus on what's truly important, and that's what I learned from that book, is that you can be